I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I see people constantly asking about hobbies or what to do with life. I'm in my 30s, I play 3 to 4 sports, seasonal rotation, go to the gym, oil paint, am now getting into an instrument, have a dog, play video games, and engage in other miscellaneous things. Maybe I'm just weird, but I've lived for my hobbies my entire adult life. My career has been nothing more than a vessel to afford my hobbies. So many people I hear use their hobbies as an escape, but to me, everything is worth being able to do those hobbies. I love my time spent doing these things so much that work has never bothered me. Relationships aren't a priority, but I enjoy being in them, especially when they share some of the hobbies. I just don't run into people with the same mindset in real life. It seems like every person I run into during activities is just using it to get away or as some side thing they could do without if it came down to it. To me, they are my life and I truly love it. Story 1. Does being a history enthusiast count as a hobby? I read a few books per month and find myself constantly buying, downloading, or borrowing books when I still have a long list of ones I haven't read. At the moment, I'm getting licensed partially as a history teacher. Talking about history genuinely gives me the same high as sex, a tokay or two from a blunt, cocaine, and whiskey combined. After several years, I'll reassess if I potentially want to pursue a doctor of philosophy. So, in a way, I guess I kind of live for my passion and hobby. Sometimes I wish I was passionate about something more lucrative, but oh well, I love the smell of old books. Story 2. I think that's really wonderful and you should definitely cherish having all those hobbies. Personally, I'm one of those people who struggle to find any hobby at all. To be fair, though, I used to have a few more hobbies, but I'm not able to do them anymore. Due to the reason that I'm going blind, there are many things I'd love to do but can't. For example, I absolutely loved riding my bicycle, but I had to stop doing that a few years ago because it became too dangerous. I also enjoy drawing, especially portraits, and playing video games, neither of which is an option anymore. I also used to play my acoustic guitar multiple times a week, especially when I was feeling sad. It always helped me cheer up again. Unfortunately, that's no longer possible because I can't read the note sheets anymore. I've lost a ton of things during the past few years of my life, and I'm trying to find new hobbies again, hobbies I can do without seeing much. Unfortunately, this quest has proven to be unexpectedly challenging because our world is just so immensely vision-oriented. I have seen suggestions on the internet such as pottery, but I'm just not really into that. Even if I were, my wife and I live in a small apartment where this is a bit difficult. I'd probably need a garage or a man cave or something like that to do that. So, yeah, that's why I've been trying desperately to find interesting hobbies for the past 3 to 4 years, and it's probably going to take a few more years until I find some things I genuinely enjoy. There is one thing I absolutely love doing, and that's traveling. However, it's unfortunately also a hobby that costs a good deal of money, and I'm not affluent. Story 3. I don't live for my hobbies, but I definitely don't live for my job either. The one thing I will absolutely always make time for is soccer. It annoys me that I can't play right now. Story 4. Agreed for the most part. I love my wife and kids more than any hobby, but if I'm not doing a thing with them, then I'm thoroughly enjoying a hobby. Either Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, games, whiskey, or shooting. Story 5. Most people aren't lucky enough to have the time and energy for a bunch of hobbies after work. I think a lot of people would like to live for their hobbies, but can't live at all without the income from their job, and the job takes all the time and energy needed to have a hobby. Being able to support yourself and have free time is a true luxury, and you are very lucky to enjoy that. Story 6. I made my hobby my job. Working out has always been a hobby of mine for years, and one day I decided to become a personal trainer and make it a career. Without any hobbies, life would be boring in my opinion. It's nice having something to look forward to and take your mind off things temporarily. Story 7. I don't care that this is Ask Men. I just want to wholeheartedly agree. The moment my partner and I decided not to have children was the best ever. I just got so excited that I'd be able to do everything I've wanted. I've spent years thinking, my useful years are almost over because I'll eventually have kids. Also, I know this guy who does research on reversing aging in the hope he can do all the master's studies he wants to do in his life. You'll never meet someone more hardcore than that. Story 8. My hobbies are just things that I already do, so I can see where people feel like they have none. For example, the only hobby that I spend a lot of time on is cooking, and it's because I eat at least 4 to 5 meals a day. Story 9. Literally, a year after my son was born, I got back into a superhero miniatures game I had played years before. I was a stay-at-home father and needed an outlet outside of the house. I started making tokens used in the game and made an extra $200 to $300 a month from it to contribute to bills plus all the points accrued from using the credit card. My wife did a complete turnaround on me and kicked me out of our home with nothing while attacking me through the courts to hide the fact that she had an ongoing affair and wanted me gone. As I spent years climbing my way back and fighting her in court, that hobby of making tokens really helped me survive. Also, the camaraderie I had playing the game at the local store was invaluable and helped me relieve so much stress, besides all the support I got from them. Story 10. I feel this so much. I work to pay my bills and do things I enjoy. That's it. I think a lot of people don't understand that mindset or look down on those who are not super career-oriented or ambitious. Story 11. I'm the same as you. In fact, one of my goals in life is to retire early so I can dedicate the rest of my life to my hobbies. Fishing, playing video games, traveling a lot. I want to go to all 200 countries in my lifetime. Watching movies, cars, the ocean, etc. Story 12. I know exactly what you mean. After graduating college and going into my career, I realized that I'm just not a career person. I don't have major career-related ambitions or a dream job. My work is valuable to me, but only so far as to provide financial stability to support my actual life. And by that, I mean all the things I do for upkeep and personal enjoyment and fulfillment, including hobbies, interests, and relationships. If I didn't have to work to sustain a comfortable life, I wouldn't. Though that being said, I think some of the things you mentioned might just be semantic differences. For example, I still find my hobbies as an escape from the more unpleasant aspects of life, even if work and such aren't my main plot, so to speak. And I still ask about hobbies or what to do with life, because I feel like I should be doing more stuff. Or at least I'm always looking for new things, because to be honest, I'm only starting to get into this mindset recently. But it's possible the words just have different connotations for us, you know? Regardless, I feel you. I'm glad I'm not the only one with this outlook. Story 13. I'm the same as you. At times, I get so excited about my hobby that I cheat on my actual work with it. It's okay. I'm self-employed, so the only one I'm hurting is myself. Story 14. Hey, same. I do piano, drawings, creative writing, gaming, and I decided to teach myself how to play 2 different new instruments this year. I'm only 17, but I'm getting a job, so I can pursue my hobbies. Story 15. I wouldn't say I live for my hobbies, but they are a key part of my life. It's basically work, family, and hobbies. Each one kind of gives me a break from the others, and whenever I don't have one, the other 2 seem less enjoyable. Story 16. My career has been nothing more than a vessel to afford my hobbies. That's it. Money doesn't buy happiness, right? Well, it bought me an airplane, a boat, several really amazing cars, a home on the beach, and a lot of fishing gear. Yes, I work to fund my hobbies. Otherwise, what's the point? Story 17. I do, but it's more of a years-long obsession with one or another thing that is probably more unhealthy than healthy. For years, I was into soccer. At least I was getting exercise. Then chess, which I swear damaged some relationships. Now card games, which is more of a gambling addiction than anything. But it's the only thing I do these days that makes me feel like I'm having any fun. Story 18. Yeah, bud, I hear you. I'm into fixing up old cars, Harley motorcycles, playing guitar, having a dog and cat, home brewing beer, traveling, and mountain biking. I'm married and just had a baby, so I'll get back into 4-wheel driving and camping. That will be awesome. Work to live, not live to work. Story 19. I'm not quite as busy as you, but yes, I'm kind of getting to that point where my job is just a way to fund hobbies. But consider that some people made a job out of their hobby. This is very common in technology. Most good programmers, for example, were doing it for fun before anyone offered to pay them for it. When I was in high school, I spent a lot of time just tinkering with my computer as a hobby, which later became a career. It's probably similar to people who tinker with cars. Eventually, it just becomes natural to make a living doing it. Story 20. I suppose you could say that I live for my hobbies in a literal sense. It was just before the point of no return in a suicide attempt where a random thought popped into my head. Oh, but my bees need me. I quickly realized how afraid I was of not knowing what would happen if I succeeded. Story 21. I spend all my free time reading, and it's the only hobby I have. Someone told me that it's not a real hobby. I don't completely disagree since I mostly read romances, but I try to read diverse ones too. Story 22. I fully live for my hobbies. I enjoy my work and enjoy what I do, but if I didn't have cars and motorcycles, I don't think I would have any actual motivation in life. Of course, I work to eventually retire as well. Story 23. Oh dude, I don't give a darn about my job. Haha, I'm an accountant. I'm good at it, but I'm certainly not thinking about debits and credits when I'm not working. It's purely just how I make good money to do the other cool things I'm interested in. Forget work. Story 24. This is one of my worries. I have a few hobbies. I was getting into a few before the whole quarantine, but I worry having a job will get in the way of being able to do hobbies I enjoy if work is just a means to an end. I was wondering how you are able to fit in your hobbies around work. Story 25. So many people I hear use their hobbies as an escape, but to me, everything is worth being able to do those hobbies. I'm confused. It sounds like those people also live for their hobbies. Someone who uses their hobby for escape is doing exactly what you're doing, working to find their hobbies, which is what they really enjoy doing. Story 26. I have a hard time respecting people who don't have something in their life that means that much to them. I have zero respect for people who think latching onto another human being and then getting fat in front of the television is the same thing. That said, know that your hobbies are your passions, and not something you dump in a heartbeat if the negatives in your life disappeared and you didn't need an escape anymore. Not that there's harm in having an escape, just that you should know the difference. Story 27. I am moving from New York City to California to facilitate my hobby, competitive trail running. Previously, work has also been a way to facilitate and afford my hobby. I am now transitioning to an interesting point in my life where I am getting paid to do my hobby. Keep pursuing your hobbies with passion. Do not let anyone tell you how to live your life. Do what makes you happy, man. Story 28. I'm right with you. My hobbies are not a distraction. I live for my hobbies. As in, I only feel alive when I'm with a partner or when I'm pursuing one of my hobbies. When I'm working, I wish I could be doing my hobbies instead. Work is a distraction from what I want to do, but it's necessary to have a roof over my head and enough money to fuel my hobbies. I secretly dream of making music production my career, but next to the general problems of trying to make a living with music, I fear if I would make music for a living, I would have the same feeling towards it as I do now towards programming. I know I used to love that, but doing it for money and all the time sucked the fun out of it. Story 29. I was hoping this whole COVID-19 situation would be a huge wake-up call to all the people who only derive fun from hanging out with others because, for me, this has been a great time to tend to my hobbies, and I could never get bored. It's what makes people interesting that they choose to dedicate time to become skillful at something. If you're bored, I think you need to reconstruct your life and find a hobby. Story 30. This is why COVID-19 is really getting to me. I'm a Civil War reenactor, an already dying hobby, and we just lost an entire season. I really hope the community can come back from it and we can have a good season next year. Story 31. I cannot see myself doing anything but my hobby. Before I devoted all my time to it, I worked 50 to 60-hour work week split between two jobs. It burned me out so badly, I ended up losing jobs afterward. COVID-19 has given me the chance to put as much time and energy as I possibly can into it. I cannot let myself do anything but digital art. I have to make it a living. Story 32. I'm a woman, but I feel like I can answer. A lot of people don't realize some of the things that they do are hobbies. They're like, I wish I had a life hobby, and then turn around and place first in their video game every day without fail. My recently ex-partner was always like, I really wish I had a hobby that I could sink hours into, And then every single day would send me a new fact they learned about Disneyland or the news on when they're opening during the pandemic. They'd know so many things about Disneyland that I feel like the average person would just never know. And I'm just like, honey, Disney is your hobby and passion. Story 33. My husband is like you. He has his PlayStation 4 games, his movies, cooking, and recently gotten into beer brewing. It is amazing to see folks like you around. I'm not cut out that way. Don't get me wrong, I wish I were. He's teaching me to not take things so seriously. Story 34. I'm not into Gucci bags and Ferraris, but I'm much better at medicine than playing guitar, and I would rather have a few hours of life-changing free time than a whole day of wasting time. Story 35. Other things are just ranked higher in priority than me picking up the guitar, and there's only so many hours in a day and energy in my body. I'd like to join a softball or football recreational league, but I just don't ever seem to have the time, so I don't. Story 36. I love traveling. I admit that I probably have used it as an escape a lot of the time, but I do feel free when I travel. Recently, I have been getting into drone flying. I bought a Mavic Mini a month or so ago and plan to get better at flying it and capturing some good shots. Both legal and illegal ones, laugh out loud. Story 37. Sounds like me. If I didn't have my hobbies driving me, my work ambition would be way lower. Work is a means to an end. I like it well enough, but I derive no real joy from it. I spent my 20s the way you did, and it put me in a pretty good position, but I had to switch gears in my 30s a bit to balance out wanting some companionship over just going hard at my hobbies all the time. My hobbies are still what drive me, but I tend to make time for other people in my life aside from my hobbies now too.